Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my first drive video of the brand new RS5 Sportback that's parked behind me. This car has just become available for sale in the UK. We're a little bit late to the party because I know places like the US have had this model available since the beginning of the year. I want to find out today if it does have a place in the current RS lineup, because there's quite a few RS cars or RS models that are very similar to this. What is an RS5 Sportback? Well, essentially it's an RS5 coupe with 2 or 3 extra doors on the back if you include the hatchback. Personally, I think it looks absolutely stunning and is probably the best looking RS model on sale today. We're going to take it out for a drive very shortly to see what it's like out on the road, but I just want to have a quick walk around and have a look at some of the styling features and cues on this particular car. Okay, let's start at the back of the car, and in fact we might as well just end at the back of the car as well, because effectively from the B pillar forward it's pretty much an RS5 coupe with shorter front doors. So we have the rear doors. Inside, the cabin space is actually not too bad. I'm going to jump inside. The driver's seat is currently set as to where I would have it. Reminder, I'm 6'3", so a bit of a giant. Let's have a look. Firstly, the sort of opening of the door is pretty small and pretty tight. Getting in here is a little bit awkward, but I've just about got enough legroom. I'm struggling for headroom, but someone of Patrick's height, in fact, of 6 foot on the nose, just about fits back here. So 4 6-foot adults would fit quite comfortably in here. There is a third rear bench seat, but yeah, forget about that. It's absolutely tiny. There's a huge transmission tunnel, and that's really only for one little person, if you like. But otherwise, back here, it feels really nice, really expensive, really classy, as you'd expect in any Audi costing this kind of money. The other feature, of course, is the giant hatchback boot. You can think of this car as a massive hatchback because it really has got a really usable boot space in here. You could put a number of things in here with the seats folded. It's basically the size of a double bed, and I reckon I could lie nice and flat in there and have a sleep if I needed to. And in fact, if I owned this car, I'd have to sleep in it because I wouldn't be able to pay my rent. I think the next thing to do is take this out on some of the beautiful roads that we're surrounded by here at the Nürburgring and actually see what it's like on the road. As I said back there, it's everything you'd expect a modern day RS Audi to feel like. It's really nice in here. This interior layout is the older layout. It's not the modern stuff that we're used to with the new sort of slab black screens, etc. But it's really nice. Everything in here is functional. There's buttons in the right places and I absolutely love it. Beautiful steering wheel, really nice virtual cockpit in front of me, and yeah, everything is basically where you need it. The seats, as I go on about all the time in RS cars, they're fantastic. They're beautifully made. They look the piece. They look the business. But unfortunately, they just don't support me because I'm a bit too big and a bit too tall. As you can see, my shoulders are miles away from any kind of support, and I just move around in these a fair amount. But these have got Alcantara in the center, which I've already realized in my first sort of half an hour driving this car. They do offer a bit more support than the fully leather clad ones. Everything else in here is as you'd expect. It's basically an RS5 coupe from where I'm sitting now, or an RS4. It's all very familiar stuff. This being the 2019 model, and part of the reason that it was very delayed over here and not in the US is it's a OPF filtered car. Yes, one of those. But I can report that actually, from what I can tell, it's hardly any different to the older 2018 RS5 coupes and stuff that I've driven. So let's fire it up now. I'll send Patrick around the back so you can listen to what I'm talking about, and hopefully throughout the video you can pick up some of those sounds and you can hear that actually there is a bit of burbling and popping and cracking on the overrun. Let's press. before we start the actual road test, I want to say a big shout out to my brand, controlandshift.com. Please check it out. There'll be a link to our website below in the description. Any of the profits on my side go back into my YouTube channel and help me and allow me to go on trips like this whilst taking time off my real job. So I really appreciate it. Lots of new stuff on there. Go and have a look, guys, and follow us on Instagram, Control and Shift. Okay, the RS5 Sportback. Well, as we talked about, it certainly looks the part. It really does. I mean, it's just a beautiful looking car. You know, I've always liked, say, the 4 Series Grand Coupe and the 6 Series Grand Coupe, if we're talking BMW stuff. And I think this just looks the absolute business. It could do with maybe some spacers on the wheels just to give it a bit more of a stance, but it sits really well and it just looks menacing. And in fact, rolling out of the N24 race earlier on, it was certainly getting a lot of attention. Insert clips here. We're surrounded by beautiful roads out here at the Nürburgring, and the weather is just perfect. And pretty much everyone is about 10 miles away watching the race, so I've almost got this all to myself, and that's what you need with a car like this. A couple of motorbikers out here enjoying the roads like I am. Oh, it's fantastic. Really, really impressive car. I have to say that I've never been the biggest fan of the current RS5 Coupe. I think it's good, but to me the RS4 has always felt better, and that doesn't make sense because you'd think it's the same platform, same engine, same running gear, but it's higher, so therefore you would think its handling abilities and stuff would be sacrificed. But to me the RS4 has felt better than the RS5 Coupe in the current generation. So I thought that this car would feel like a slightly heavier, lardier, tardier version of the RS5 Coupe. And to me, in the short time I've had it, now I've only had this car for about 45 minutes and I've literally done about 15 miles in it, but it feels great. It feels really good. It feels every bit as quick as the other two cars, as you'd expect. Same running gear, so we've got an 8-speed ZF gearbox. We've got a 2.9 litre V6 bi-turbo under the bonnet, and that is producing 450 PS and 600 Newton meters of torque, and it's the torque figure that really makes the difference. A lot of people got really upset when Audi dropped, you know, the very familiar and amazing 4.2 litre V8 that had similar power figures to this engine, but it had nowhere near the torque, and nowhere near the torque at low down revs. You know, I'm in 6th now, I put my foot on the floor and it really pulls. You know, it pulls from 2,000, 2,300 revs. There's really good torque there and it just feels great. How does this car feel? How does it handle? Well, you can feel there's a lot of inertia, you can feel there's a lot of weight, but it controls the weight very well. And you get very, very little body roll. Does it feel like an RS product? Yes, it does. Do I like the fact that I've got 4 big seats in here and, you know, it's a fairly practical RS model? Of course I do. Yes, it's a bit of a niche model. You know, if you want a 2-door sports coupe, go out and buy the RS5 Coupe. If you want something more practical, then you'd surely just go out and buy the RS4. I would still go out and buy the RS4 because I think that is the ultimate wagon, the ultimate car. It really is the all-round package. For me and my mountain biking, it's great. You know, again, you can get 4 adults in there and more boot space than this, etc, etc. But this is the stylish alternative, and I know not everybody likes the wagon, and this to me is basically the stylish version of an RS4, but that's taking nothing away from the RS4. What are we looking at cost-wise in the UK? Well, a base RS5 Sportback will set you back £64,500 on the road. This particular one, being a press car, it's got quite a few toys thrown at it. and it retails at exactly £71,000, but it seems like it's pretty much got everything. I haven't looked at the spec sheet, I have been sent it, I just haven't had the time, but there's nothing that I'm left with wanting in here. You know, it's got the all-important panoramic roof, you know how much I love those, especially in a car like this. The back seats would feel a bit more claustrophobic if you didn't have that extra lighting, and everything else. I love the trim in here. I think it's really nice. There's nothing that I can see that's missing. It's an RS car. You know, all I'm interested in really is what's under the bonnet, how it sounds, how it handles, how it stops. The brakes in this thing, nothing coming behind. I mean, it's ridiculous. It feels really, really good on the brakes, really good. And as you can hopefully hear, it sounds really good. I mean, this is a WLTP car. It's got the OPF filters, and it sounds really good. And there is some sort of pops and cracks on the overrun, which is great. It's the first OPF equipped car that I've driven and been impressed with in terms of that overrun sound. It's still there. Oh yes, it's just so efficient in the way it goes down the road. And when I take it out of dynamic and I put it into comfort, the ride becomes, you know, incredible. It's got magnetic ride, this car, and it's a really comfortable car. I mean, it would be a great car to do long distances in, and in fact Patrick and I are driving this car back from the Nürburgring to the UK tomorrow, so I'll hopefully be able to report back either via Instagram. Follow me on Instagram if you don't already, it's just Joe Achilles. I will be able to report back as to what it's like on that long journey, but I can see it just being an absolute joy, because in comfort it's just lovely, and in fact it goes very quiet, sits at a really nice low rev in 7th gear at motorway speeds. But let's put it back into dynamic as we come back into the twisties, and we'll just come off and go down here. Let's open the window, see if we can get a bit of extra sound. Right, foot on the floor. Oh, the gear changes are so fast. They're so fast. Again, really good in the brakes. It's reasonably accurate, but if you need to adjust mid-corner, that's where you start to feel the weight, in my opinion. And I think that's because it's doing an amazing job of hiding the weight, and therefore when you need to sort of make a last minute adjustment, there's just nothing that can sort of overcome that, so it does start to shine through. Let's talk about performance figures. 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3.9 seconds, so it's a sub 4 to 60 car, and we know that's probably a conservative figure, so we're probably looking at 3.7, 3.8. Top speed limited to 155 miles an hour. This one's had the limiter lifted to 174 miles an hour, which is plenty fast enough, and I'm in no doubt that without any limiter at all, it's probably a 180, 185 mile an hour car. It really is rapid, and especially with this beautiful silhouette, it's very streamlined, if you like. It's very coefficient, so I think this would have no issues going above 180 miles an hour if it didn't have either of those limiters on it. I think we should cover a couple of the bad points. There's no getting away from the fact that with the beautiful sloping sort of rear roofline, it is a bit cramped in the back, and it's definitely not for 3 adults. There's 2 adults in there and no more than 6 foot. You're sort of governed by the headspace. So yeah, rear cabin space is a bit sacrificed by its beautiful looks, and you're going to get more room in something like an RS4. The rear windows also, they only seem to go down about halfway, which again makes it a little bit claustrophobic in the back. You know, I certainly don't like windows that only go down halfway, and that's probably got something to do with the design of the small doors and the fact that the actual glass can't slide down all the way into the doors. But I think they're only minor niggles and an otherwise really beautiful, awesome piece of kit. We've talked all about the good bits. I probably haven't covered everything because there is so much to talk about in this car, and I've only really got a couple of hours to play with it out here at the Nürburgring, and this is essentially my first drive video, so I don't want to go into too much depth and detail because I don't have the time and I don't have the knowledge and know absolutely everything about this car. Once we leave this village, we'll take it for a little blast, and then we're going to head back to the race itself because we're having dinner with all the big Audi sport wigs this evening, which is going to be great. So really looking forward to that. And if you haven't seen my N24 vlog already, then please make sure to check that out because it's really interesting. It's a real insight of what happens at these amazing 24-hour races, especially when you're looked after someone like Audi. Okay then guys, let's finish this video with a spirited drive. Got to be careful, I'm on a public road. There's plenty of public and police around, so I'm not going to go over the speed limit, but I'm just going to enjoy this car for what it is on the road and on these beautiful roads. So let's hold it on the brake, foot on the floor, and off we go. Wow. Oh. I mean, there's no doubting that this is a sub 4 second to 60 mile an hour car. It is really fast, and it sounds pretty good from where I'm sitting. I really hope that mic's picking it up and you can hear that lovely overrun. Oh, especially now there's a bit of heat in the exhaust. Oh, it's really impressive. Really impressive bit of kit this is. Well done, Audi. Anyone that writes this V6 off hasn't driven it, because I know a lot of people complain about the fact that the V8's gone, but just don't. Try one first. And then I want to see you complaining, because it's just got so much punch everywhere. And it revs all the way out, you know, it's not just a torquey mid-range engine or a top-end NA feeling motor. It's everywhere. It's really good. I can't wait to see what the new S58 is going to be like in the up-and-coming M3, because, you know, that's got to better this engine, and it will. It's already 510 horsepower, etc, etc, but let's hope it retains some of the lineage of this car, of this engine, you know, this lovely flexibility that it's got everywhere in the rev range. In the rev range. I'm very tired today, if you haven't noticed, hence the fact that my glasses are on for the entire video, and the fact it's sunny outside. But yeah, it was a long old journey to the Nürburgring through the night last night, and I only managed a few hours sleep, so I'm feeling remarkably good actually. Had a few Red Bulls earlier on. Alright, last bit of squirt. Would I buy one of these? If the RS4 didn't exist, yes. But the RS4 does exist, and to me that's still the better package. But people are going to buy this car on looks alone, and I don't blame them, because it's a stunning looking car, especially in this Sonoma Green. Tick Sonoma Green, people, don't be afraid. It is absolutely stunning. Right, I'm back now where I started. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Please give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Leave any comments and stuff below. Hopefully I'll get one of these for a week or so in the not too distant future. Massive thanks, as ever, to Mr. Patrick, Becoming Patrick, on Instagram, who's actually in front of me in the TTRS that we came down in yesterday. And yeah, I'll see you guys at the next video, whenever that will be. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.